Hello. Hello. Ladies and gentlemen, Consul Generals, distinguished guests, participants, welcome to this panel discussion on actions to the sustainability journey. Today, we have the privilege of hearing from Consul Generals representing different countries and our very own Hong Kong legislator as we delve into crucial topics related to climate change, renewable energy, economic policies, and international cooperation with special focus on sustainable fashion. Our aim is to explore innovative strategies, learn from each other's experience, and collectively address the challenge of sustainability and also sustainable development. So let us begin this enlightening conversation. And as the MC just introduced, we have a very comprehensive, very knowledgeable panel here in front of us today. And they represent many parts of the world. So the first question, the first topic we will focus, I want to look at the big picture, the macro side of things, specifically maybe on energy or climate change. So the first question I would like to ask CGA Ficarra, what specific initiative or policies has your country implemented to promote the transition to renewable energy sources? And what lessons can other nations learn from your experience? CGA Ficarra, please.
Well, first of all, thank you very much for the occasion, for inviting me, for inviting other consul generals. I think it's a great occasion for us to explain a little bit more about our country and in specific sectors. And I'm really happy to be here, honored. I would like to thank the organizers, but also the audience for your time, and you have decided to listen to us this morning, which is very important because time is very precious nowadays. So it's very happy to be with you. I'm a diplomat. I'm not an expert of sustainability, and of course, I mean, being aware of the participation today, I try to study a little bit more and to be prepared and having the occasion of transmitting a message, conveying a message, and giving you more information about what Italy is doing. The range of activities goes from change in constitution to the ordinary behavior of my mother and father at home back in Sicily. Their lives now is actually organized according to the day when the waste is collected by the public authorities. I mean the personnel in charge of it. Back to the Constitution, we did something important, which was to change our national Constitution to Article 9 and Article 41 in order to introduce specific references to sustainability and environmental issues. And then, the path towards achieving a more sustainable country followed the general framework that the European Union established over years. So at the European level, as you probably are aware, the main framework is the Green Deal, which was approved in 2019, and then it is for 5 years until the end of the actual Parliament and European Commission until 2024. But then the European Union itself decided to go on and to approve other legislative instruments in order to accelerate actually the path and the action of member countries towards the common goal, which is decarbonization. First within 2050, and now the goal is 2030 with the new legislative instruments. So Italy is trying to adapt, and the main framework has been created recently. Actually, it was approved. It was discussed back in December 2022 and approved this in spring, and it is called the National Plan for Adaptation to Climate Change, which has 4 main line of actions, which are energy efficiency, emission and internal market, and innovation and research. In terms of financing, the National Recovery and Resilience Plan, which was approved following the pandemic, and the legislative measures that have been taken in order to support economies in the European Union. The package is a little bit more than 70 billion euros, which 70% are addressed to actions in partnership with emerging countries in order to support them in the process of transition. But of course, we had measures and developments and progresses taken as well within the country. Italy is fully committed to achieve the net zero goals, and important steps have been taken in order to support and to facilitate the process. Just as an example, over the last 2 years, we have accelerated the renewable power generation development by more than 5 times. 1 gigawatt new installed capacity in 2020, 3 gigawatt 2022, 6 gigawatt expected by the end of 2023, which is a good achievement. And the perspective is wider. Not only the renewables addressed to the power diversification, but also the industrial diversification and the carbon zero goal for the entire economy, which has a longer perspective in terms of achievement on time, again, 2030 and 2050. And then a series of action. If I have 2 more minutes, I would like to just to mention again in general terms, without going into details, that the Italian government and policies addressed to sustainability and to environment refers to a variety of sectors, because the threat is referred to a variety of sectors. Transport, for example, first of all. With the policies which facilitate the increase of production of electrical vehicles, and all the infrastructure which is needed in order to them to work, such as the charging station, for example, not so well developed so far in Italy, but with a perspective of growth. And then the issues of sustainability, of course, refers to sectors such as tourism. I was reading a few days ago the report from recent report from the Italian Central Bank, which was focusing on not only, which was focusing on the winter tourism, for example, due to the effect on the tourism activities of the decrease of temperatures. And of course, culture. Culture is also affected. Italy is one of the country with most UNESCO sites present, and the climate change affects as well the preservation of sites and again of the cultural heritage as a whole. And other sectors and other measures, one of the most successful policies which has been implemented recently after the pandemic was the incentives that the government allocated to buildings and to the restructuring of buildings in order to make them more energy efficient. And another area which is, of course, under strict observation and there is room for a lot of action is the preservation of waters and water resources. Of course, you all know that Italy has 70,500 kilometers of coastline, and the investment in terms of blue economy, which is a very important subject for the moment in my countries, is around 136 billions of euro. Not to mention, of course, fashion. Maybe we can talk about that later, and I would give maybe the floor.
Yes, thank you, CG Ficarra. I think CG Ficarra gave us a very good start, looking from the big picture, from blue economy, from energy, from climate change to the UNESCO site, and also from an energy point of view. So, and I think we are all glad that Italy, together with EU, they are doing so much on protecting our environment, on sustainability. Now, and I would like to ask CG Mogono, from a South African point of view, what policies, what initiative are you doing? And we would like to see how we can learn from your country. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Wong. And I'd really appreciate for inviting South Africa to come and participate in this forum. I think I'm gonna just start in a different note from what my colleague here just mentioned. I'm just gonna more summarize a bit of the initiatives, policies, and what lessons can be learned from South Africa. I think most people know that South Africa currently has a bit of an energy crisis, but we're really working on it, in terms of, that actually, it has made us, to be more, looking at ways on creating and strengthening our policies where climate control or change is concerned. One of the initiatives that we've done were more of creating high-level, delegation in terms of in the government to making sure that this initiative on changing from fired coal energy to renewable energies. Sorry. Of course, engaging stakeholders who are also everybody else who's involved in this transition, and promoting transparency and accessibility. And of course, this transition, it was made to ensure that no one is left behind, and so that we can move away from this fossil fuel, and that can create a more equitability, sustainable community. What we saw as a South African government is that the health comes first. So when you're having a renewable energy, then therefore you secure a good health for your nation. So those things that I've just mentioned, that we have succeeded, and we also of course set ourselves targets. Of course, as my colleague had mentioned about the goal of 2050, climate 2050, we also want to achieve that, or possibly reducing it to 2030 to 2040. Like I said, I just wanted to summarize what he has started without going deeper into technicalities. I thank you.
Okay, very good. So I think we are also glad that South Africa is also doing so much towards the same goal. Now I think it's time for us to come back to where we are, to Hong Kong. And I would like to invite our legislator, our very own legislator, the On Sunny Tang, and tell us what we're doing in this part of the world. Thank you, Sunny.
Thank you, Thomas. I think, again, it's my honor to be here to have a chance to interact with all of you about sustainability. If you don't mind, I'll just load up the screen. I just have a few slides just to facilitate the discussion. Okay, I think I can do it myself. Where am I pointing to? Oops. Okay, I think I just skip. Okay. Hong Kong government has been doing a lot in the past to promote sustainability and to really find ways to make Hong Kong to be a better place. It starts with the policy address and what the chief executives have been setting in terms of the direction. So if you remember from the last chief executive, Carrie Lam, she did announce the carbon reduction. By 2035, the aim is to reduce carbon emission by 50%. And by 2050, we should target to reach carbon neutrality. So that is a high-level commitment or directions that the government is trying to drive. Then it cascades down to various different initiatives or directions. So I pick a few just to share. It's not the comprehensive list, but I pick up some of the items from the last policy address, which is being announced and being implemented now by our current chief executive, John Lee. So if we're looking at energy conservation, government has been promoting energy conservation from a very top-down approach from the development. So you all would know that we are developing the Northern Metropolis area. It's a very, very big space, and in their planning, energy conservation is definitely a big priority for them to see how we can bring in a new way of a city planning, town planning for the new decade, I would say. And in the current situation in terms of the Inland Revenue Center and any new building structures, Hong Kong government is also putting up a lot of requirements to make sure that all the new buildings are getting more energy efficient, to be more relatively more carbon neutral. Okay, so that is the area that the government has been trying to do. We are also promoting more on the energy labeling because for a regular consumer, the problem is we just don't know. So we are legislating, through legislature, we want to educate all our citizen people in Hong Kong. When you make a purchase, are you aware of what contribution from us in terms of carbon, in terms of sustainability? So, I mean, now if I go to a Broadway, Fortress to buy some electronic items, I can see all these labeling, and it's going to extend to more categories. So I think we all can be part of it to help out in terms of our energy conservation. Next will be waste reduction. I would say finally Hong Kong government is doing something here in terms of the control of the waste. We all know that in many developed countries, I'm sure for Europe also, I saw that in Taiwan, even in our motherland China, in terms of when I visit, let's say, Tokyo, you can see that a lot of the general awareness of waste reduction and waste classification, all these are very common. I think we can do a lot more. The government is now starting to distribute all these plastic bags to control the solid waste. Okay, this is very important. It's a very good step to start, and I think it starts from all of us. And I think with the government facilitation, that could help a lot. Another one that I've been waiting for a long time is really the banning of the use of the plastic tableware. That is something that We already see many countries not using the plastics, but then Hong Kong has been very slow. But I think the government is determined, and they are going to look into the legislation. So you can see that Hong Kong government and generally Hong Kong is going towards that direction. Okay. The third area is green transport. As you may know, I'm also chairman for Hong Kong Productivity Council. We've been very much focused into green transport, and we have a research center for automobile parts and related items. Just to give you some sharing, Hong Kong, you may not know, we have the first hydrogen bus. There will be an electric minibus in Kwun Tong. And there's also an electric bus go between Festival Walk to Science Park already in place. It's electric. These are initiatives that Hong Kong government has been implementing because Hong Kong has its own uniqueness in terms of its own transportation system. And we cannot just buy a vehicle from another country, just bring it and use it, because we are very unique in terms of our landscape, in terms of our the size of the car, all these things is a little bit different. So we need to customize it on our own to fit our need. But we are putting a lot of effort. And I'm not sure if you know, for new vehicle, new car coming in for consumer to buy, every 2 cars, there's 1 car is already an EV. All right? We are one of the highest, one of the highest penetration in terms of EV, I think, globally. So we are making good contribution in terms of by having EV in our transportation system. And Hong Kong also put a lot of effort to install and to put in a lot of charging station. Okay, this is a very important steps because without all these charging stations, it's difficult to implement. I noticed in some European countries, because the old town, you can't really put a lot of these facilities. So that makes the development to be a bit slow, but we are fast in that area. Another thing is not only in green transport, but also in overall the transportation system. I'm not sure if you know, at the airport, there are a lot of industrial vehicles is already without human driving it. I was jokingly telling the Hong Kong Airport Authority, why don't you put some Disney characters, just put it on there pretending to be drivers and just to do some promotion. And this is very impressive. We are seeing that development in the industrial setting. So we are putting a lot of effort on our transportation. And last, I think I will save this later, but I will just touch on then in terms of sustainability for our industry, what have we been doing? We have the Hong Kong Research Institute of Textile and Apparel, Hong Kong RITA, has been making significant contributions in terms of the research aspect in promoting and the supporting of sustainability. And I would like to thank many of you, could be is our current partner or hopefully our future partner, partnering with our industry, with Hong Kong RITA to promote and to make a difference in terms of sustainability on research. And we have a lot of great NGOs, great leaders here like Christina Dean here for Redress Award. I mean, it's a global award and it's in Hong Kong that create the awareness of us focusing on having the sustainability in fashion. We can still look very beautiful, very nice, very fashionable with sustainable elements in place. I think I will leave this for a bit later when we talk, but I would like to hopefully give you a big picture of how Hong Kong government and Hong Kong in general goes towards sustainability.
Thank you, Mr. Tan. I think we have seen that in Hong Kong, we have also done a lot to contribute to making this a better world. Ladies and gentlemen, from the flyer of promotional materials, if you remember, we are supposed to have 4 panelists representing Europe, Africa, Asia, and also Americas. Mr. Consul Jason Reeve is supposed to be here with us from the Canadian Consulate. He was here earlier this morning for the opening, but then he wasn't feeling well, so he has to leave and he extended his apologies. So that's why we have one panelist less than what you have seen from the flyers or promotional materials. But nonetheless, we have seen what the world is doing from a big angle, from the macro side. I think it is time for us to zoom in, look at what the world is doing with our industry. Because after all, this is the fashion summit. And I will do this in a reverse order, and I will go to Mr. Tan, our very own legislator. Maybe you can continue and tell us what we are doing with the fashion industry, how to make this a sustainable fashion. Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas. At my opening speech, I did mention that Hong Kong, it's very important in terms of our positioning of textile apparel because of the history. I think we are a little bit unique, but I think to a certain extent similar to Italy, because Italy has a long history from the yarn to textile all the way to brand and distribution. Hong Kong, I think we are quite similar. We may not have the factory because the size of our city, but then we have been in control or influence from all aspects of the supply chain. So we have a very important social responsibility in terms of promoting and pushing for sustainability in fashion. The problem is we need to work with our partner, okay? I would say that sustainability a lot of time comes really from the consumer. We educate the consumer so they choose something that is sustainable. We need the brands to build in the DNA with sustainability and allow the consumer to make the right choice at the right price. And for us in the supply chain, we are the catalyst, we are the coordinator in all aspects, try to put in the sustainability elements, maybe from the yarn. The yarn, it could be a research product from Hong Kong Rita, okay? We can have production to be more sustainable. It could be Hong Kong Productivity Center, Council. It could be from many aspects of Hong Kong's NGOs and organizations and our industry players. How do we make our production to be more environmentally friendly, more sustainable? How do we create less waste along the supply chain? I think we have a lot of areas that we could lead and to set examples and also learn from each other from different countries. I always have been advocating one thing, it's our industry partnership. I always want to look for something easy to do and be able to just reduce the waste. I mean, to me, one waste is for brands or for retailer, when they make purchase, they are not able to systematically read and buy the right amount, the right color, the right size. Okay, there's no perfect answer to that. I mean, it's a crystal ball question. But then how do we improve? If you look at the financial data of brands, a lot of times they are only making single-digit teens profit margin. I mean, if they make money, okay, that's the amount of money that you make. But when you look at the gross profit, you're talking about 50%, 60%. Then where did the money go? Okay, a lot of times for the pieces of garment that we buy, we like such a nice garment, maybe very fashionable at this moment, you know which one to buy. But as a merchant, when they make the order, they are spreading the money to different products, different colors, just to see what consumer would choose. And a percentage of that, it's not popular and they end up not being able to sell. And at the end, they will go for 50% discount, 80% discount, 90% discount, or just dump it. Okay, how do we improve that waste percentage to make it lower? I think that requires technology, that requires data sharing among our industry player, from your textile mill to the garment manufacturer to the brands. I think the trust, the partnership, and the application of technology can substantially reduce all these amounts. And we don't need to produce them, we don't need to recycle. So that is an area that I hope that we as an industry player, where we have influence along the supply chain, I think Hong Kong can play a critical role.
Thank you, Mr. Tan. I think Mr. Tan pointed out very important, very important keywords. Life cycle and the supply chain. Everyone in the supply chain have to do their part. And I would like to go to CG Mogono, talking about fashion. I don't know if how many of the audience have attended the Fashion Week in Africa. I attended one before the pandemic. It was very impressive. And the designers, they're very talented. And I can tell you, they make a lot of people happy, especially the ladies. So I would like to go to CG Mogono. Can you tell us about fashion, especially sustainable fashion, maybe in your part of the world? Thank you.
Thank you for your question. I want to start about, before I get to your question, fashion in South Africa is quite a very an interesting industry. I grew up in a township, so fashion was something big. And when you pose this question to me, I look back and say, the fashion industry in South Africa, it's very thriving and it's very impactful into the whole Africa. Because of the whole Africa, since we are the super connector, in everything, like in Africa, most of the things in Africa. So people look upon what we do, the trends, like what we happening in South Africa. Now, you see, the government now is working hard on making sure that, it supports the upcoming fashion designers, and in making sure that, in the whole procurement of the system of where the textile and the clothing industry is gelling well with the fashion. So, I should mention that so far, in the industry, employs about more than 100,000 people in this industry. So I'm looking, to working, or rather, the government to ensure and putting more, support in this industry. Of course, the Fashion Week, we're not as big as the one happening in Italy, of course. Italy, it's quite far ahead of us, but we are catching up a bit. Of course, France as well is one of those we're looking upon. We do have the most well-known fashion designers in South Africa, like the likes of David Clarles and so forth. So we're putting more support in this industry, and I think in the next near future, South Africa would be one of the top fashion countries in the world, like the likes of Italy and others.
Thank you, CG Mogono. I'm sure the whole Africa, especially South Africa, is catching up with a sustainable fashion. So thank you for the information. So CG Ficarra, when we think of Italy, we think of a lot of things: Italian wine, food, UNESCO site, as you mentioned. But the first thing that comes to my mind is fashion, Italian fashion. So, but how about sustainable fashion? Can you share with us your thoughts?
Yes, sure, but only if you allow me later to tell you a story about the first thing that comes into your mind when you think about Italy, okay? Yes, at least in Hong Kong. No, first of all, thank you very much for, it was really helpful, and was interesting to listen to you. And yes, this is my job this time as a diplomat. Each point that you mentioned, it is an input for me to create new opportunity for exchange and for cooperation between Italy and bilateral cooperation between Italy and Hong Kong. because I mean the issues and the topic are global, and we are supposed to work together in order to achieve and to reach our goals. In terms of fashion, of course, this is one of the first things that comes into the mind of people talking about Italy. Lots of material available in open sources on internet. But I would like to share with you, first of all, what I found on the website of the United Nations Alliance for Sustainable Fashion, which says that the clothing and textile industry today is responsible for an estimated 2 to 8% of the world's greenhouse gas emissions, annual material loss of US $100 billion due to underutilization. Textile account for approximately 9% of annual microplastic losses to the oceans. These are important data, again, openly available on internet. And for Italy, this is very important information, considering that the fashion industry is valued. Last year, in 2022, the turnover was 82 billion euros, and the estimation for the end of 2023 says the estimation says that we are going to reach almost 90 billion euros of the turnover. So it's a big sector, considering as well that very important, of course, for the overall economic development in Italy. And the other important information which I got is that 75% of the production, luxury production, globally is done in Italy, which means that the government, the private sector, business, NGOs, we have a large variety of actors who are really committed in order to act and to address to the public opinion as much as possible in order to create awareness. I'm working on a project which is based on the concept of imperfect awareness, which is something that I would like to implement here in Hong Kong, if I get the necessary financial support. But again, the idea is that the awareness is still imperfect, and we have to work in order to create more and more occasions and dialogue and talks to address to ordinary people. Because, again, my mother, who knows when the humid and the plastic and the glasses should be collected by the people in charge, is not enough. We really, Italy is doing a lot in terms of organization of groups addressing these specific issues. Again, preparing myself and looking at the internet and working on this specific project, I got in touch with a consortium which is CID, Italian Consortium Detox, which is a think tank or a group of companies, 36 members today, which was created in 2016 in Tuscany. Tuscany, which is, as you might know, one of the biggest districts for textile in Italy. And again, they are doing this job of creating awareness and creating a common language, a common commitment for companies which have decided to be member of the consortium. But the same thing was done in the past. I mean, again, reading on internet and discovering, trying to get familiar with the information related to fashion and sustainability. I was looking at the website of the Camera della Moda, the Italian Chamber of Fashion, together with Sistema Moda Italia. And back into 2012, they had already published and created a sort of chart, a document of commitments with several principles which list the commitments of companies in terms of sustainability and protection of environment. And another initiative which was celebrated few days ago, but it exists since 2016 again, is the Green Carpet Awards, which takes place in Milan during the Milan Fashion Week. So it was celebrated in September a few weeks ago. And again, it is an initiative which is growing, which regroups together big names, big brands, this year not only Italian, international, which receive awards. But I mean, I believe that the most important thing is not just to receive awards, but to show that those brands have committed to show to the general public, which follows the event, how much and how important it is to be committed to a better world.
Okay, thank you. So I'm sure the audience are very glad, like me, that Italy, as a key player in fashion, is doing so much. And especially our CG Ficarra is also doing a new initiative for Hong Kong next year. And I hope to see this project going. And we have quite a few questions from the audience, but we have only 3 minutes left. I think I will entertain one question. And this question is, please, could you share more? This is from Cindy. Could you please share more about the government's initiative for reducing and recycle textile fashion waste in Hong Kong? Mr. Tan, recycle fashion waste.
In terms of recycling, as I mentioned before on the screen, the government has been very proactive in trying to do some classification on recycling. So that's definitely an area. You may notice in some public facilities, there are some container or boxes facilities for you to put into those recycling unused products. Or used products that we don't need. So that is an area that we have been promoting. But to be honest, I think there could be a lot more that we can do. As an industry, as me, as an electrical member, I would like to take more proactive approach in working with the government, because they are trying, but then they may not know what is the best way. How do we work with our partners in terms of maybe the retailers, in terms of the brands, and also in terms of how we can do a lot more the recycling with innovation approach. Just like the slide that I put up, the Hong Kong reader, the garment-to-garment machine, the service, the product, it could be a used sweater, come and just reconstruct to come up with a new piece of garment, so we don't need to waste. I think that is something that is very important, that we should continue to innovate to promote our sustainability and recycling. And Thomas, maybe allow me to explain one more thing, because I think we are missing one picture here, is China. Okay?
Yeah, please do.
In the past, we may see China maybe having a lot of, creating a lot of pollution, creating a lot of waste. I think it's a process. It's not something the government, our motherland, wants to do. But what we are seeing in the past 10 years is the Chinese government has been moving on with its own environmental standard. I think we all operate factories, we know, because they will go after us. Okay, how's your discharge of the water, the dyeing, all these things. They will come and go after us because they are serious in improving step by step in terms of how we handle our environment, how we handle our waste, how we handle our pollution. So it is coming. Number 2 observation that I see is China as a country for recycling, because you need scale. You need scale to reprocess the material, become a recycled product. So amazingly, people are going to China to look for recycled material because we have the scale. And number 3, it's Chinese business people, they are quite innovative because they may not have the baggage before, how things were being done in the past. So in terms of how they work with especially their mainland domestic market, they are looking at different business models, ways of doing things. So I would not be surprised to see more innovative process, innovative selling technique ideas with sustainability in place.
Thank you, Mr. Tan. Another piece of good news. I'm sure this would help us to make this world a better place for the future generations. So before we end this, I would like to invite our panelists to give us 1 or 2 sentence takeaway, and I shall start with CG Ficarra.
Yes. I selected two phrases from an important person in Italy in the fashion industry, which is Franca Sozzani. She died in 2016, and she was the chief editor of Vogue Italia. And she said, fashion isn't really about clothes, it's about life. And then the second is, giving back is the new luxury. I selected these sentences because I think they fit really with the subject, the topic that we are talking about today. I mean, clothes and life, and give it back. Sustainability is a sort of compromise, renouncing something, giving back to the future generation.
Absolutely. So how about CG Mogono? Your takeaway for us?
I'm not going to quote from anyone like my colleague here, but I sincerely believe that one of the most important things in life is health. The second one is fashion. Now, when you are healthy, you need to clothe, right? Now, I sincerely believe we should make sure that we are becoming healthier, so that our next generations to come, they could understand how we sustain that. 2, fashion. Fashion, it's one of those I think industries that should be saved from the climate, these dangers of climate. So my take on the last word, on this summit, is thank you very much for inviting us, and let's just make sure that we stay healthy and make sure that we have a good sense of dressing. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Tan, what is your takeaway for us?
I would say sustainability, it's something very personal to every one of us. And as we being here, Fashion Summit, it is a great venue for us to exchange ideas. I think having our CGs here and every one of you here, I think I really treasure the moment, because it means that we have the same thoughts, having a sustainable fashion in mind. And I think I look forward to a lot more innovative idea, because sustainability fashion doesn't mean that we have to pay a lot more. But how do we work together, work smart, and make sense out of it, and make a world a better place?
Thank you. Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we conclude this panel discussion on actions to the sustainability journey, we have gained a lot of insight from the Council Generals representing various countries and our very own Hong Kong legislator. And we have explored strategies for climate change adaptation, the promotion of renewable energy, innovative economic policies, international cooperations, and balancing economy with sustainability. And we have also zoomed in on the fashion industry and how it deals with sustainability. It is very clear that collaboration and knowledge sharing are crucial to addressing global challenges. Let us take these lessons forward and continue our collective efforts towards a sustainable future. Thank you all for your engaging participation, and may our actions pave the way to live a greener and better world for our future generations. Thank you. Thank you very much.